Apologise for the poor sound quality. Let's do a deep dive on Mari Emmanuel. Here we go. I think Mar is the title given to bishops in his church, so I think Mari is Mary. Emmanuel. Anyway, he's born Robert Schleiman in 1970. Born in Iraq, he's an Assyrian Australian. That's an ethnic designation, demographic designation, I understand. He's the bishop of that church. Well, what is that church? Well, anyway, in 2011, he was ordained a bishop in this thing, which we're going to link. I'll press that link shortly. The ancient Church of the East, but was excommunicated in 2014. So he was a bishop for 3 years in that church. In 2015, so he established his own independent church in that tradition of Christianity. So he's done what I guess Protestants do. They splinter and splinter and splinter and set up their own group. Okay, we'll come back to this chapter and keep looking. All right, so his sermons are live streamed on Facebook and YouTube. Has a high user count, but that's not the same as viewer count. We know the difference. Takes part in interviews, conservative programs, very outspoken about, Wikipedia mentions those two things here. So he's very outspoken, and I sympathise with a lot of the views, or at least the things, his talking points. All right. And this year, in April 2024, there was a horrific incident in his church that you can just see with your eyes. I'm not going to say it. Right. I want to go up here. This might just take me back down again. The excommunication. That just says what it is. All right. Let's go back down. Why was he excommunicated? That's what I'd like to know. So here we go. 2011, consecrated as a bishop for the Diocese Australia New Zealand. Took the name Mari Emmanuel. Right. So, all right, here we go. In 2013, I think is Mar Adai II. Okay, was confirmed by the Patriarch, but asked him to make changes in liturgy, in theology, and in social conduct. The changes didn't happen. The Patriarch's deadline expired. So Mari Emmanuel was suspended. Okay, so that explains why he was suspended on the grounds of disobeying canons. Oh, and then later, Mari Emmanuel said he would accept what the Patriarch wanted him to do and was reinstated, but then reneged and expressed his disagreement a second time. All right, here we go. In January 2015, he established himself as his own independent church. He's not listed as a clergyman where he was from. All right, so that's it. That explains why he was excommunicated. All right, so let's click now the ancient Church of the East to see what that was, where he's the church that he is from. Here we go. Ancient Church of the East. It branched from the Assyrian Church of the East in 1964. So this is very recent. The Ancient Church of the East and the Assyrian Church of the East, which we'll get onto, were together. Right up until the 1960s. All right. Ancient Church of the East based in Baghdad. All right, that's interesting. Do I need to click these links? No. All right, so the takeaway here is that the church that Marmari came from is this one, the Ancient Church of the East, which looks like it branched off from the Assyrian Church of the East, which I'm going to click on now. Assyrian Church of the East. It follows the Historical Church of the East. I'm going to click on the Church of the East to see what that is. And then I'll go back. We're going to probably come back to this. We're going to do this in a double sort of way. But what is the Church of the East from which the ancient, the Assyrian Church of the East came from? The Church of the East, Syriac, that doesn't mean the country of Syria per se. I better read this, is one of the three major branches of Nicene Eastern Christianity that arose from the Christological controversies of the 5th and 6th centuries. Okay, and it is alongside the Miaphysite churches, which came to be known as the Oriental Orthodox churches, and the Chalcedonian Church, whose eastern branch became the Eastern Orthodox Church, which is the jurisdiction to which I pertain myself. All right, so I'll just scroll down, then we'll go back to that previous page. So here we go. The Church of the East, what's its theology? Diophysite, but a particular one following Theodore of Mopsuestia, and wrongly referred to as Nestorianism, but we can say, using that term, Nestorianism. Their theology is Nestorian. So that means that Mari Emmanuel's church where he's from is Nestorian. But later we're going to see that's not what he is espousing, actually. But he can speak for himself when that time comes. All right, separations, 1960, other names, Nestorian Church. All right, use your eyes to just see what flies by here as I scan through these paragraphs very quickly, because you might see something I don't. Established by Thomas the Apostle. Was in communion with those in the Roman Empire, the Eastern Orthodox, until the Council of Ephesus in 431. Right. It started to call itself Nestorian, even though it's a misnomer. Scrolling. All right, well, I think that's enough, so we'll go back. But the takeaway here is that the Church of the East is Diophysite, but a particular kind of Diophysite. I'm going to go back a page now. And here we are back again at the Assyrian Church of the East. All right. All right, we'll go into this a bit more. The theology is just East Syriac theology. Includes in India, includes some of them. Okay, look at this. The Assyrian Church of the East claims continuity with the historical Church of the East. Okay, we just read about the Church of the East. And it is not in communion with either the Oriental Orthodox churches, which we're going to get into, or the Eastern Orthodox Church, as I said, which is the jurisdiction under which I'm acting. What does this say? The faction of the Church of the East that came to be in full communion with the Holy See of Rome is the Chaldean Catholic Church. Okay, so some of them became Catholics. All right, so what was that about Oriental Orthodox? Let's go into that. There we go. The Oriental Orthodox churches adhered to Miaphysite Christologies. Well, that's not Diophysite Christology, that's Miaphysite Christology. So that's different. Keep going. Yeah, theology, Miaphysitism. I better read these pictures. Starting at the top, left to right, Armenian. Oh no, Armenian. No. Clockwise from top, not left to right, right to left. Clockwise from top, sorry. Armenian, Coptic, Eritrean, Ethiopian, Malankara, so I think that's India, and then Syriac Cathedral. I don't know where that is. It might be Syria. I don't know. All right. I better read this out. The autocephalous churches: Syriac Orthodox Church, Coptic Orthodox Church, Armenian Apostolic Church, Ethiopian Orthodox Tewahedo Church, Eritrean Orthodox Tewahedo Church, Indian Orthodox Church, right. Okay, languages: Coptic, Syriac, Ge'ez, I don't know what that is, Armenian, Malayalam, I should stop speaking. All right. Just use your eyes to scan these paragraphs. I won't keep reading them out for the moment. All right. Well, let's just pause and think about that. All right, well, I think that was enough. We've got the background to Mari Emmanuel, and now we're going to listen to him speak. I'm going to be very hard on him. I have a lot of sympathy for him, but I'm going to be very hard on him, and I'm going to interrupt his sermon a lot as we go. So forgive me for anyway.
Later on, something came up. You see, the church now is free. So now they started focusing on who Christ is. I don't encourage you to go into the depth of this. It's going to give you a headache. But I'll just give you a touch of it, a taste of it. So who is Christ? We come to our beloved, the Catholic Church. How do they believe in Christ? They say,
first interruption, when he uses the term our beloved and then mentions a group, he's not saying he and they are the same. He's just using a beautiful term of respect and endearment for another group that he doesn't belong to. So he's talking about what we understand as the Roman Catholic Church, commonly understood.
Christ is two natures, one person. This is the belief of our beloved Catholic Church. He is two natures and one person. We come to the Orthodoxy world. Orthodoxy world is divided into two main groups. There is the Eastern Orthodox and there is the Oriental Orthodox.
So, second point of interruption. I used to accept this paradigm, this paradigmatic division of the Orthodox world into those two main groups, but I don't do that anymore. I think that's not helpful, actually. So, what I propose instead as being more useful, practically, and is, okay, he mentioned that thing called the Catholic Church, Roman Catholic Church. Okay, we know what he means. Now, he's mentioned what he calls the Orthodoxy world. All right, and he mentioned what he calls Eastern Orthodox, and then, what was it, the Oriental Orthodox. All right, we just looked at, in Wikipedia, a lot of those churches in the Oriental Orthodox world. But no, I think this paradigm is actually false. I don't think that that whole set of groups that we saw on Wikipedia there, and this Eastern Orthodox group, the jurisdiction of which I don't think we all combine to form one larger set called the world of Orthodoxy. I think that's not useful. What I think instead, look at a group, that's what it is. It is what it is. So he talked about the Roman Catholics. Yeah, that's what they are. We know what you mean. That's who they are. Okay, the Eastern Orthodox, he's going to call them Greeks and Romans. We know what they are. And then we're going to let him talk about the Oriental Orthodox world here, but we've just done a big deep dive on that. And we saw, what did we see? We saw a Syrian Orthodox Church, we saw Church of the East, we saw, was it the Ancient Church of the East? What was the other? There were lots of other names, and we saw that the theology between at least the Copts, which was Miaphysite, of a particular kind of Miaphysite. No, it was anyway. We saw that it was I got it. Sorry, forgive me. There was the Miaphysitism of the Copts, but there was the Diophysitism of a particular kind of Theodore of Mopsuestia. So Mia means kind of one in a certain sense, not in the sense of mono, but in the sense of Mia is different anyway. And Dio it means two, and but a certain kind of two. And physis has a meaning in Greek, doesn't it? All right. Carry on.
Eastern, like Russians, Greek, Rome Orthodox, the likes. And then, on the other hand, the Oriental Orthodox.
Yeah, when he said Rome Orthodox, he doesn't mean Roman Catholics. Rum is the word in Arabic, Turkic, for the Eastern Orthodox Christians. They still call them Rum. That's what he meant. So Rome Orthodox Marmari is talking about Eastern Orthodox. Nothing to do with the city of Rome. All right, carry on.
This is the Coptic, Armenian, Syrian Orthodox, and the Ethiopian Church. These are all Oriental Orthodoxy. Now, the Oriental Orthodoxy believes Christ is one nature and one person. Catholics believe he is two natures, one person. Oriental Orthodox believe he is one nature, one person. The Eastern Orthodox, Russian Greeks, they believe he is two natures, one prosopon. Now, prosopon is a Greek.
All right, so he did. he did a roundup of the Oriental Orthodox churches, of which he's not a member of, because the Oriental Orthodox are those Armenians and the Copts and so on, Eritreans, Ethiopians, and so on. So that's not his church. So he's not saying that's what his belief is. He's saying that's what their belief is. He said what he thinks the Catholic belief is, and now he's trying to say what the Eastern Orthodox belief is, but he kind of laughed it away, and he doesn't want you to get too much into it. And he's going to say what he thinks the word prosopon. Don't worry about how Google misgarbles it. Google's not handling these words very well, the translator. But anyway, he's going to define what he thinks prosopon means in Greek, but absolutely that's not what it means to me. So whatever the definition you're about to hear is not how I would use this word. So I don't think he should ascribe it to me or people like myself.
Word can mean a hypostasis and a person at the same time. No. So this is where I'm going to jump in. Words like Greek words prosopon, hypostasis, and physis, which gives us the word physique or physics and so on. And the English equivalents person and nature, these are Latin-based terms, or they exist in Latin anyway, persona, natura. Anyway, these words do have specific meanings, and although those meanings did shift and evolve and change and morph across time and place, we have to use them with their nailed down meanings. Now he's trying to nail down a meaning, but he just misapplied. He nailed down. No, he got it wrong. No, he misapplied it to me and to the Eastern Orthodox jurisdiction. So that wasn't correct. Anyway, we'll let him carry on. I don't want you to remember this, and please don't go there. Right?
Yeah, so he's
just for the sake of argument.
Quite dismissive there. Yeah.
Now, prosopon can mean a person and an integral aspect of the divine nature.
No, I've never heard that definition for prosopon either. So I've read different books from Marmari, I'm afraid.
Where I come from.
Now, what he says here is when he says where I come from, he's doing a bit of ambiguation. He means three different things at once. He's saying where I come from geographically, which is Iraq, the church in Iraq believes the following that he's going to espouse. Now, the second thing he's kind of doing, he's going to kind of, later you're going to hear him say that he is the church of the East, but he's not. He was excommunicated. So he's kind of blurring the lines a bit. And then thirdly, he sometimes he does say, even himself personally, where I come from. This is what I think. So for now, right now, where I come from just means geographically that's what they think in Iraq and not what he thinks. It's very hard to follow him.
None of the above. Jesus Christ he is two natures, two hypostases, one person. And
yeah, so he just summarized the Nestorian position, not necessarily his position. Okay, he's going to do a little bit of history here.
This was the main argument in the 4th century at the Synod of Ephesus in 431 AD between Pope Cyril IV, the Pope of Alexandria, the Coptic Church, and Nestorius, the Pope of Constantinople, Istanbul, Turkey.
Yeah, so we understand Pope Cyril of Alexandria just to be Saint Cyril of Alexandria, and Pope is just a name for patriarch. That's all. It's just a title, and yeah, indeed Nestorius was the Patriarch of Constantinople, but ended up being deposed and excommunicated, fled to Iraq.
Current times. Nestorius said Christ is two natures, two hypostases, one person.
And Google got that wrong again. It's Nestorius, of course. And that was a bit weird to say two hypostases, two natures. Anyway, what I wanted to get at, this is going to be a big aside, is we've got a lot of mathematical formula. Two of this, one of that, two of that, two of that, one of that, one of that, one of that. And unfortunately, these words like physis, hypostasis, prosopon, nature, person, took a long time for their meanings to be nailed down technically, centuries to be nailed down technically. So what that meant was that all of these words, physis, hypostasis, prosopon, person, nature, and he's going to give us some Aramaic or Syriac soon, had ambiguous meanings, even in one place, but across time, let alone across different geographical regions. So, all right. So there would have been misunderstandings. He won't quite get into that topic, but that would be pertaining historically. Having said that, what he's not doing, even though he's trying to do it, but he's doing it very badly, he's not actually giving us his lexicon that is reliable in any sense. He's tried to explain prosopon in Greek, but and ascribe it to the Eastern Orthodox Church. But those two definitions of that word, no, we're not using. I don't know anyone who's using those two definitions. So that's wrong. Anyway. And he hasn't said what hypostasis is. He's been using that word, hasn't said what it is. He's been using the word person, hasn't said what that is. He's going to try and do it now, but he's not going to succeed, as you'll find. Nature, he's used that word. What does that mean? Do you know? I don't know what he means by that word. So why use it? Why use words that we don't know what they mean? We need to know what you mean. I'm doing a Jordan Peterson here. Sorry.
Pope Cyril IV, Pope of Alexandria, Coptic Church, he said this is heresy because you are making two persons of Christ. Christ is only one person, can't be two. This is heretical. Therefore, Pope Cyril, who believed and still believe that Christ is one nature, one person, excommunicated absently Nestorius from Christendom.
So just getting back to this mathematical formula, two of this, one of that, we don't know what those qualitatively or quantitatively, those ingredients of those formula are. So it's just empty mathematics and the empty mathematical formulas. So I'll get back to this point.
This is the belief of the church I belong to, but I'll say one thing. There was also a language barrier. There was a language barrier at the time. I don't know why I'm mentioning this, man. Back then, the universal language was Greek. So the universal language in the 4th century was the Greek language, like it is the English language of our time and age. So the universal language was Greek. That's why a lot of churches were influenced by the Greek language. In fact, in our beloved Coptic church, they have the liturgy of Saint Basil. It is Greek.
Yeah, I've seen the Coptic liturgy. It's different from the Eastern Orthodox liturgy. So in the Eastern Orthodox Church, we've got the liturgy of St. Basil, but that doesn't mean it's exactly the same liturgy of St. Basil that the Coptics are using. Again, it's just a name thing, a name commonality. That's all it is. All right.
And they use a lot of Greek words in their liturgical services. No problems. It's a beautiful language. That's fine. So in the Greek language, prosopon can mean a person and a hypostasis. In the Aramaic Syriac language, which I speak, our church speaks, hypostasis is not a person. We call it in our language pneuma. Pneuma comes from the word qnum in Arabic, or like icon.
All right, so this is extraordinary. No, hypostasis and prosopon aren't the same things technically in Greek, even though that was ambiguous for a time. And hypostasis in Greek would never be associated with a sense of ikona. So this is. If he's unreliable in Greek, I'm not sure how reliable he is in his presentation of his own language. I'm not sure how much I can trust his word definitions. So he's going to distinguish pneuma, which has its associations with iconology, with parasopa. I'm preempting it, but just listen.
Pneuma is not a person. What is a person in my language, so I don't go for 10 hours? Pneuma or parsopa or person in my language is parsopa. Parsopa is very similar to prosopon in Greek. So person as a person in my language, Syriac, Aramaic, is parsopa. Now,
no, you can't sum it up yet. We don't know what you mean by person. You've just said names, you've just said words, but we don't know what person means. Person as a person. That's what you meant by what person means. Person as a person. So he's going to sum it up now. This is another fairly long aside. What he's been doing up till now is what I call academic theologizing, and he's kind of using the mathematical structure of logic in a really bad way. Two of this, one of that. Two of that, one of that, one of that. This is one, there's two, there two. So it's... and now what he's about to do is something quite awful. He's about to just sweep away all of that awful academic philosophical approach to theology and bring in something worse. So he didn't even do it very well. He didn't resolve any of those questions that were begged by his academic philosophical approach to theology. It didn't work. It was just awful. And now he's dropping it, and this is a big shift. He's shifting massively now. All of that mathematics, he's just going to collapse into just the number one, and he's going to bring a moral imperative along with that number one, and he's going to say we should all just be one. That's what this is all about. It was a rhetorical drive towards we should all just be one, and I'm going to talk about why he's doing that, but we'll just listen to it happen.
To sum it up, all apostolic churches end up with one person. Then what's the problem? There is no problem. For God's sake, unite. If I came to know that in my church, the Church of the East, that this church believed that Jesus Christ is two people, I'll take these clothes off and I'll walk away from this church.
All right, so he pointed to the ground saying he's the Church of the East from which he's been excommunicated. He just presented the Nestorian position and he's just rejected that position. This is very confusing. He pointed to the ground as if he's the Church of the East, espoused the Nestorianism of the Church of the East, and said he rejects it. All right, he's doing rhetoric. Okay, here we go. This is the guru cult-like thing he's doing. He's gesticulating wildly. He's being dramatic in his presentation. He's being extremely oppositional and straw-manning. He's populated our minds with a world of opposition between the Catholics and the Eastern Orthodox and the Coptics and the Church of the East, but not the Church of the East, and it's a tense world, and he's presenting himself like a cult-like leader as the solution and as the oracle of wisdom who will explain it all to you. And there's a lot of deceit involved. He points to the ground as if he's the Church of the East, but he's not. We laud his bravery during harsh times of recent years, and we lament the awful attack that he was maimed by. And we have a lot of sympathy for him, and he thinks he's convinced of the goodness of what he's doing, but he's behaving in a very cult-like way. All right, he's going to echo what he just did, the device to say, I'll walk away from this if this is all wrong, is another cult-like thing to do, to traumatize his cult members if their cult leader threatened to abandon them. He's going to do it again right now, and let's listen.
But I know, stamp sealed, this church is holy and believes Christ is one person.
Here we go.
And if I were to believe that the church where I come from, where I belong to, believed that Jesus Christ became God at the age of 30 only.
Who believes that? I don't know of any church that believes that. What's he talking about? Who is he setting up in opposition now? Is that a Mohammedan thing? Is that the problem? What's this world of opposition that he's...
Meaning, he was not God at the time of conception, at the moment of conception in the mother Mary's womb. Then I will take these clothes off and I will deny this church.
So spectacular, so theatrical. Wow.
This church believes the moment the Archangel Gabriel greeted the Holy Mother, the Virgin of all virgins, the moment he greeted her, and he said, you will conceive by the power of the Holy Spirit, from that moment of conception, and forever and ever to come, Jesus Christ is perfect God, perfect man, and they were never separated, not even one slightest single moment. Jesus was perfect God and perfect man in the womb of the mother. When he was born, when he was crucified, when he was buried, when he rose, he was always God and man together united with no separation.
Right, so no argument with that, but why all of this tele-evangelism? And why keep pointing to the ground saying this church as if it's the Church of the East? You know, he's about to finish, and the answer why is coming up. Just listen.
This is the belief of my church, and I can prove it to anyone who questions it. And this, Catholics, all Orthodoxy, Oriental and Eastern, and this church have the same faith.
And that was why he did it, and now he's scratching his ear. All right, so he finally did what I think he meant to do, and this is a collapse into, isn't it a collapse into ecumenicism? Isn't this the homogenization of everything? So I'm going to summarize. He started off with some mathematical bamboozlery, and he didn't define his lexicon, his terms, when he was coming across as doing, theology of an academic sort. Didn't complete it. Set up a lot of straw men there, and is it dial? It's, I won't say anyway, and stopped. It didn't resolve his arguments. Didn't define his terms, and stopped his argumentation. His linguistics was awful. Just because there's the word orthodox used by certain organisations doesn't mean they're all part of the same group or subsets of the same group. That's like what he did when he talked about the liturgy of St. Basil. Just because that's what it's called doesn't mean it's the same thing. Names are not the same things as what they're names of. That's not good. Anyway, he ended up saying it's all just one, and that's all there is to it, and so there. I think that's a kind of if it's not ecumenicism, it's like ecumenicism. Now, what I really don't like is how cult-like he is in so many ways. He set up his own organisation, very theatrical, very larger than life, setting up straw men, bogey men, bad outsiders, good insiders, ramping up the the hysteria, the pressure, the feeling of threat, the ramping up. Listen to me, I'm the only one who can explain things to you. Listen to me, I'm the only one who has the right, can tell you what the right thing to do is. I'll tell you what to do, I'll tell you what to think. Very, very cult-like. This is awful. Now, I don't know if he put the tinkly music on in the background for this presentation, but that's another device that cult leaders do, is play that lounge music in the background to relax the people listening to this stuff. And so I'll just pause and think about this. No, I think I'm done. So we'll leave it at that. Thanks for listening to this very long presentation. That's the end.